All right, so we're gonna go over like some role plays today, and because there are some differences. All right, so we're gonna be going over some role plays today. Um, there are lots of different styles in selling, and I think we're both kind of a believer of like whatever works works. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And your personality, stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of like go over like I'll play the prospect first, you play the sales rep, and then we're just gonna go
Yep.
over an outbound and we're gonna see some of the differences between say how you would do it and how I would do it because like, they're both good, they both work. Um, but I want to kind of like be able to break down how you're doing it, what you're doing,
Yep.
and then we'll kind of, vice versa it. But I think I really like how you outbound, especially. I think that I've obviously done a lot of it because of final expense and just having to kind of call living crap out of leads and stuff like that. But
Yep.
what's your first before we get into it? What's your kind of like what's your process when you're kind of going into like what are you trying to do with your outbound?
All I'm trying to do is get into a conversation. Right. And now my thought process has actually shifted, I would say, a bit the better I've gotten, where I think that thought process has mattered less the better I've gotten.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was learning, the thought process was very much getting into a customer service kind of mindset. Like I used to gas
Okay.
myself up and I'm like, I
Yeah.
would tell myself, I'm like, okay, how would I act if I was, making $10, $15 an hour working in a call center, just doing customer service. But I liked my job. Not that I because sometimes you say that and people think they imagine a job that they hate. No,
Yeah.
a job that I like, but I'm not attached to talking to this person. I don't care. I'm just trying to do my
Oh,
job.
okay. I like that.
And so that was my original mindset. But now it's just like I'm just calling people to um I guess the mindset is kind of like sorting. I know I can't sell everybody. And so what I'm trying to do is call and sort through my lead list and figure out who's a good prospect and who I should never call again.
I like that. And the context of how you would get most of your leads is what?
Yeah, most of the leads, especially in insurance, are going to come through different social media, like Facebook marketing, Instagram,
Yeah.
some Google SEO, but Facebook marketing is going to run the majority of it. I've ran age leads in the past that have been, I've ran a lot of different lead types, but I just prefer to run new leads from social media. They're cheap, they're easy. Why not?
Yeah, and you think that like the though they're cheap, they're not as cheap as age leads, but you think that the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to the extra money?
Yeah, I think so because they're not all that much more expensive than age leads either.
Okay.
You know, and it's like the price difference is fairly, I think, pretty similar unless you're looking at
Yeah.
like dog shit age leads that are like $1 a piece and they were
Okay.
but for good age leads that were generated like that, let's say it's a direct mail campaign and now it's aged, right? Like that, those are decently aged. Those are going to be good leads because it was direct mail, but they're still going to be $5-6 a lead. Whereas in insurance, like for most of our agents, that they have their Facebook running, their
Okay.
average cost per lead is like $6-7.
Oh, let's fire.
Yeah, like so
It's like a brand new lead. Yeah.
yeah, like why even do that? Now there is like Google SEO that you could get into, as you know, and like all these different things that you could do to get a higher quality lead. But then that's where I think the cost difference starts to not make much sense because
But that makes sense. All right, cool. All right. So let's just go. I'm a, normal lead, right? Just sort of come in
yeah,
and you're giving me a
normal
call.
final expense.
Normal final expense, Joe Blow, right? Made some
Let's
bad
go.
decisions in his life.
Let's go. Ring ring.
Hello.
Hey Matthew.
Yeah, is this?
Yeah, hey Matthew, this is just Caden. I just had a second here to get back to you. I'm just licensed with the state. I got the request you'd put in about possibly looking at life insurance. Were you looking for yourself or a loved one?
Yeah, just me at the moment.
Perfect. Easy enough. Just covering funeral final expenses. Wanted to leave a little bit more.
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, man, they can put me in a cardboard box and throw me in the river. But the kids
Well,
are gonna want
that's
something
quite
more
an
than that.
image.
So yeah.
Well, that
So
might
just
scar them.
yeah, well, hopefully they need to toughen up a bit. But no, just covering the funeral, I think would be enough.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like just trying to get the bare minimum in place, make sure they're not going to have to bear that burden, but ultimately don't want to spend an arm and a leg on it, if I'm understanding you correctly.
That sounds right.
Easy enough. Well, in case you missed it, my name's just Caden. Caden Sanchez. Process here is pretty simple and easy. I'm just a field underwriter. So my job's just to see what all you'd be eligible for. And then I can actually help you, compare the rates across all the top companies or the top carriers in the state just to make sure you're not overpaying. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. All right, pause there. I mean, like that's so smooth. Like it's so difficult as someone to be like combative because it's just so casual and normal.
Yeah,
Um, well, I find, from coaching a lot of people that most of them, this is the most important part, I think, for anyone who does outbound, like that initial little bit, just kind of getting them into having a conversation. And
for
I think
sure.
if I break down what you did well, it's one, super casual.
Hmm.
I feel like I could have probably said anything. Like we can rewind it and I can just go like, what's this about? Who's this? What now? You know what I mean? And like,
That's what I was
we'll
expecting.
just do it. We'll just do it. Right. So you're like, just do it again and I'll be more difficult.
All right, ring ring.
Hello?
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, hey, Matt. This is just Caden. I just had a second here to get back to you. I'm just licensed with the state. Got
Okay.
some info you'd put in. It looks like about possibly looking at life insurance. Were you looking for anything specific, or just wanting to look at all the options?
It's just for me, but I mean, I've gone through this a couple times before, and
Oh,
it's always just too expensive, and
yeah.
I don't know if I want to have this call. I've gotten so many of them.
Oh, geez, that sounds frustrating. Sounds like one of those scenarios you probably put some info in online, wanting to see some quotes online, and then all of a sudden your phone started ringing, and you're like, "Oh, what the hell did I do?"
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That
Yeah.
sounds pretty frustrating. How much were they quoting you?
They're quoting me XYZ.
Ec- Hold on. Um, I mean, are you like 80 looking for like $5 million in coverage, or why was it so much?
No, no, no. I'm 65. Like I'm healthy as a horse.
Hopefully
Just
a
looking to
healthy
get
horse.
something in place. Yeah, well, yeah, you
No,
know.
I grew up around horses.
Um,
They're not all healthy, but it is a good
yeah,
saying.
that's
Uh,
true.
well, I'm not sure if I'd
Yeah,
be able to help you.
there's no way I could keep going with the angry guy. Like it's impossible. Yeah, man. Just like, whoa. I think like, you empathize with the position. You say that it's frustrating. You tell them what happened because like the marketing, so like, okay, this person's putting in and then they're getting called based on the fact that they wanted a quote. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like everyone's been on that road for something or other where you just want to find out the price and it's like speak to sales,
yeah,
which is frustrating. And then if the lead is being sold multiple times, then then they're going to get a lot of phone calls, right? So
yeah.
very frustrating scenario. But a lot of people would try and just ignore or deflect it, whereas like leaning into it and then doing it casually where you don't freak out is so important.
Yes.
You know, just being able to handle it. Oh yeah, sweet, because it is frustrating. It isn't what they sort of expected. And most of the people they speak to are, for lack of a better term, somewhat retarded.
Yes. They're everybody they talk to for the most part is going to be nervous. They're going to sound weird, and they're just trying to sell a policy, and it's obvious. Also, the final
Yeah.
expense demographic, they've been around every generation of salesperson, so they can smell bullshit from like a mile away.
It's
Yeah,
good. They've had they've had the Jordan Belforts, they've had everyone.
yeah, they've had it
Right.
all. They went through every single stage, and so like they sniff it out. But what my thought process is you gave me an objection. I don't want to respond to the words because that's what everybody does. I'm responding
Mm,
to the meaning behind the words. And if I can control, right, because like you and I have talked about this before, like every conversation, there's the conversation and then there's the subtext of the conversation.
mm.
It's like what's actually happening below the surface. What are they actually thinking? That's what I'm attacking. And even if I'm wrong, they'll just correct me. But I'm going to, like you just said, I know the marketing very well. I've been, you've been around it. You start to get to know your space. You know what's happening. You know what they're actually meaning. It's like you just wanted to see a quote online. Now there's a bunch of people calling you. Sounds frustrating, and they're like, oh my god, finally a reasonable human that actually can acknowledge that's what happened. Now we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Um, and
No,
so
that's really good. I think as well, like what a lot of people get wrong is that they just don't, they're not calm and they're
yeah,
weird. And
Yeah.
and the problem that I see is that no one tells them that. No one says,
Yeah.
dude, you're being weird. Like, why are you being so odd? And they give them all this feedback about when to do what and like what to say exactly. And all of it's moot because they
Yep.
sound super weird.
Yeah. Most people do that. They sound so weird. And it's like the easiest way I can think about it when I think about reps. I got this actually from Eli and Chase Hughes. And so they explain it as like it's a pendulum where there's collapse on one side, which is like when you're being weak and you just like kind of pussy, it's like you melt to their objection, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and you collapse. And the other side is posturing, which is like, like
Mm.
you're just absolutely dominating the person. You're not listening at all. You don't even deflect. You just steamroll, right? And then in the middle, though, there's composure, where it's like, I'm not doing either.
That's good.
I'm comfortable. And most people are swinging from collapse to posturing, but they're very rarely in composure.
Mm. I like that a lot. That's a really good kind of mental model to sort of look at it, because it's very true. You're either kind of like just people just kind of blindly smash through, or they just roll over.
Yeah.
And I think it's because like they're not sure what to say because they haven't done the study. But then from there, they're listening to the words specifically. Going back to your point, they're not listening for like the underlying intent, or they're hearing but not listening.
Yeah.
And you can tell a lot from somebody by what they don't say and all that kind of stuff, and their pacing and their timing. And I think that because people, like, I see this because I train sales reps a lot. I see this where like they'll hear something and then try and do it.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't understand that thing yet, though. Like you don't get it. You have to actually get good at it and practice it before you can implement it, because the feedback that you get from it's going to be nonsensical. Like it doesn't make any sense.
No, there's context that's important.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're having to kind of formulate, if you've heard this thing a couple times, thought about it for 10 minutes, and then you're trying to do it in real time in a conversation, it's sort of like you're trying to speak a different language, like off the cuff, because you just don't know what you're doing, and you're trying to say something, but you don't know how to say it. And then, so that means you're going to say it weird, which means the reaction to it is not going to be indicative of what you wanted or what is supposed to happen. And then you kind of write it off as it doesn't work.
Yeah.
In reality, you're just lazy and stupid,
Yeah. It's like, what do you expect? You have to practice, like if you're trying to learn a new language and you've never practiced it, all you've done is get on fucking Rosetta Stone, and then you go to that country, you're going to find out pretty quick.
Yeah. You're going to fuck around and you're going to find out.
Yeah.
Right?
But
turns out the guys in the favelas are not that nice. Right?
It's not Rosetta Stone. None of them are named Rosetta, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. Your nickname is going to be Rosetta if you stay here long.
But no, outbound's pretty simple. I think that the way I think about it is like, I'm just trying to be in composure. I'm just trying to help the person. And first thing I'm trying to do is create a conversation. So how I'm going to create that conversation, pretty much every outbound conversation. And you've seen me write scripts and do outbound for not just insurance, but at Committed Coaches, 7th Level for a while. It's like all the scripts are going to start the same way. It's like short intro, grab their attention, and then I want one or two just easy confirmation questions that are super easy to answer, short answers, because that immediately gives me a pattern. I ask question, you answer. I ask question, you answer. And then I frame and go through the rest of the call. But I don't don't dive in right from the beginning.
I want to get your opinion. So a lot of people will try and do, so you said you had some neutral words in there, which is like possibly, you know what I mean? Possibly looking for this. Now it's obviously like neutral, right? Which I think is a really good way to do it under certain conditions, right? What I find is that a lot of people try and do the confused old man.
Yeah, and they're old man with dementia.
Yeah, they. Yeah. Hello. What is this, Caden? Huh? Yes, I'm get my medication. Right? You know, like,
Yeah.
and they just sound like ridiculous. Where do you think, like, well, I think we know where that comes from, trying to emulate people online, but not really understanding what they're seeing, right? When
Yeah.
Jeremy's doing the confused old man, one, it's only for cold calling, like very
Yeah.
specifically cold calling. And two, he's very good at what he does. So, you know, it makes sense, but it's a level of skill there that's difficult to attain.
Yeah.
You know, like,
For sure.
the best way to do something is only the best way to do it if you're the person who can do it the best way.
Yes.
You know, like,
It's a weird
right?
equation.
Like the best way to drive to get a car to go, like, you know what I mean? Like driving an F1 car is like, it's the best way to do it. However, like I couldn't even get an F1 car out of first gear. Like there's no way I could drive an F1 car. I've never tried to do it. It would take me forever. I'd be better off taking a bicycle. I would get around a track faster on a bicycle than I would in an F1 car. I will confidently say that. Right? Like
Good image.
I'm sure they're incredibly difficult to drive, but it is the
Yeah.
best way to do it. Right? Like, but not for me, you know?
Not for
So
either of us.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I like to think, I tend to lean people away from the neutral words because they sound really passive a lot of the time. They're quite unsure of themselves, you know, and so I try and like add certainty to them by like removing neutrality. Right? Like
Yeah.
we done that with a bunch of the insurance guys. It's like, hey, I don't want you to do the possibly, maybe, could be, because like you sound like a pussy. So let's not do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like sounding like you're happy, I liked your analogy of like someone who likes their job but isn't like concerned about, you know,
Yeah.
anything else. They're just like, I like doing what I do, I like talking to people for a living, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you sound happy, I think immediately you're given an extra 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's
Immediately.
subconscious. Because like they've done studies about it. If you're most people are naturally going to go negative, right? If there's a neutral situation, it's kind of like if I walk into the store and if you imagine it, like we'll say it's like a store where it's not very big, so everybody looks up. There's a big bell that rings every time somebody walks in. If I walk in there and I'm somebody that is, I'm happy, but like, they're like usually people that call themselves realistic, and I look around and everybody looks at me. I'm going to look at all of those faces, and they might be totally neutral expressions, but I'm going to look at them and interpret them as negativity usually.
Yeah.
That's what most people are going to do. And so, whereas if I walk in and I'm like a happy person, I'm in a really good mood, and I'm very optimistic, like those people are far and few between, but we all know those kind of people, right? I'm going to walk in and see all those neutral expressions, and I'm going to be like, oh my God, look at all these nice people in here. And they're the same people. And so it's the same thing on outbound. If I'm not noticeably in a good mood, then that person is going to naturally go more negative, because our bodies and our brains are built to protect us, right? They're built to protect us. And so naturally they're going to go more negative to keep us safe. And so if I'm not positive, if I'm not noticeably happy and positive, they're going to interpret that as negativity. And it is much easier to give somebody and if I'm interpreting somebody as negative, it's way easier to give them an objection.
Yeah. It's such a good point. It's where so many people get it wrong because they hear like Jeremy, they hear these other people go like, be neutral, be leaned out, be detached. And they think that means like, hey, Caden, this is Matt. And it's just like, you sound fucking miserable, dude. You sound miserable. Like you can be detached, but you can sound like you enjoy your job. Because like if you're interrupting my day by calling me and you're like, hey, Caden, how's it going, man? Yeah. And then I mean, like it's a nice, pleasant, like I want to be a part of a pleasant conversation if I'm going to be a part of a pleasant of a conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
It also makes it awkward to say no. It just makes it
because you're just in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like ugly, charismatic dudes have been getting laid for a long time because of that fact.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I don't need them to say yes. I just need them to not say no.
Although consent is important.
But it's especially at the beginning of the
call. You heard it first. You don't need a yes. You just not. You whisper in your wife's ear. You up.
She didn't say no.
It's not a no.
I'm pretty sure that ring was a yes.
That's hilarious. No. Yeah. So like sound happy. And this is throughout your entire call. Like
Yep.
you can sound concerned, but you want to be genuinely in a good mood.
Yep.
You know, I think if you're like some detached fucking like nightmare of a human being where you're just like overly cool, I think people really take the status framing stuff way too far. Like
Way too far.
like they're just like, why should you be here? It's like, motherfucker, you called me. Like, what is happening? What the hell is going on? You know, I think this is my whole deal with it is one, sound happy and like you enjoy your job. Two, you want to counter your use of neutral words with your level of like inbuilt certainty. So
Yep.
if you have high levels of inbuilt certainty and you're like that person, then like boom, go neutral because it will do nothing but help you. If you're someone who's like meek, meager, and like super like new to it and you're just nervous and not sure, you put a neutral word, you'll sound like a pussy. They will assume you don't know what you're talking about straight
Yep.
away. Because it's almost like you're asking them questions about what you should be doing, you know, and
Yep.
the confused old man goes to dementia real quick. And then from there, you need to know exactly what you're going to say, and you have to have an extremely repeatable process, especially in those first little bit. Like
Yep.
if you say, I was on with a team yesterday, and like they're actually really good, but I was like, guys, like you've got to stop changing the words. They're like, what do you mean? And I was just
Yeah.
like, every single time we hop on these fucking role plays, you're giving me like variations of the same thing.
Yep.
And it's like the whole script doesn't have to be like word for word, but there are certain questions that you are going to ask word for word every single time because you can, right? Rationale question, just so I can see the rationale, whatever, like, or your opener. Like, there are lots of different questions that you can just word for word shove in there the exact same every time. And if you do that, you will get hyper predictable answers. Okay. There's a
Yep.
reason why marketing works. It's because human beings' behavior is predictable. Right. And
Weird.
but what about? Yeah, exactly. I knew you, dickhead, was going to be in the comments going, but what about? Right? Because it's predictable that there's a level of dickhead, right, that will always say that, you know, right? It's like, and
Yeah.
you're the one. Well done, sir. Right? Um, and it's like, we don't worry about red herrings because in sales, if you try and put together a sales system that sells everyone, you will fail miserably
Yep.
because it can't be done. So you have to put it together a sales system that sells the most amount of people. And that means you will do things that will not sell certain people who are sellable.
Yep.
Right. But doing it that way gives you the most amount of sales. And
Yeah,
the
it's just
people who
numbers.
are really, yeah, the people who are really good at sales realize that there are people who have red herrings or eggshell skulls, right? You ever heard that term? They never make
Yeah.
legislation up eggshell skulls. Although we do these days. It's all basically exclusively what the world does, right? You're a fucking if you're a fucking like trans lesbian zebra, there's like a law for you, you know. But it's like those little red herrings. You don't worry about them because if you were to make a change based off that, you would never stop making changes.
Yep.
Probably the first question I always ask. Someone goes, "Hey, I'm getting this." I'm like, "Yeah, how often though?" And they go, "Oh, I got it once." I was like, "How many?" They're like 400. I'm like, "Let's not worry about it." Oh, but and I go, "No, I'm not answering the question, mate. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because it doesn't benefit you in any way, shape, or form. It's a red herring."
Yeah. Let's talk about the
It's
thing you
like,
got 300 times.
yeah, it's like, hey, when you're selling on the equinox, you have to do this.
Yeah.
It's like stupid. If you're facing east and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and your prospect is Mexican, this is how you make the sale.
This is how
It's
you
like that's
adjust.
very, very niche. You know, like if you're making those kind of adjustments, you're a fucking genius or a retard and nothing in between. Right?
And
Nothing.
if you're that genius, you're probably not on the sales calls. There's probably other people on the sales
Yeah.
call for you.
Yeah. Go do something more productive, mate.
Yeah, it's training sales reps is really funny because I've also never understood that. Like, it's like, oh well, I wanted to change the wording for this or this, and it's like, if somebody has a reasoning for changing the wording, I think that's different if they know why they did it. But in my
Yeah.
experience, very, very rarely does somebody know why they did it. They just say, oh, I think this sounds more like me. And I'm like, cool. How much have you sold?
Yeah. But you don't know how to sell. So don't sound like you. That'd be
Also,
catastrophic.
it's a practice environment. Why wouldn't you practice word for word? And then the real life call
Yeah,
probably isn't going to be word for word, but why wouldn't you practice that way? Like
yeah,
I don't fucking understand.
yeah. Me either. Um, Alrighty, what I want to do, I want to hear you handle some objections.
Cool.
Right? What are
Um,
the common objections that you get within insurance?
the most common one is just going to be the old think about it, right? I
All
just
right.
want to think about it. That's probably the
Okay.
most common one, or uh, hand in hand with talk to a spouse or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you get. So let's do a pitch, and then we can flop, and I'll do some sort of you
Okay.
know coaching or whatever.
So how I would have pitched, I would have given you three options, right, and price anchored with the top one.
Yep.
Had you, and then went towards the other ones. Okay. So any questions on any of that?
No, man, that all sounds pretty good. I
Okay,
guess what happens
perfect.
from here, you kind of send me an email, and
Well, it just
we
depends
connect in a week.
which one of those do you lean more towards?
I mean, I guess maybe the middle one.
Oh, really? I thought for sure you were going to say the bottom one. Why that one?
I think the coverage is right, for that one, right? Like it kind of not the most expensive, but it's not the least amount of coverage either. So
Okay. Yeah, covers everything you're looking for, fit into the budget. That all makes sense. Well, first steps here are just to make sure that we can get you qualified. You know how this stuff is with insurance. So let me get that pulled up. I've got the spelling of your first name. Looks like it's Matthew, Matthew. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay, perfect. And then do you have a middle initial that you want me to put down here on the paperwork?
R, hard R.
Hard R. Okay, I like it. Is that a capital R? Or do you want me to type in hard R?
That's just capital.
No, I'm just messing with you. Okay, perfect. And then last name, blah, blah, and here I'm doing the application.
Hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's hard to get out of. It's
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
just yeah. I was sort of waiting, but yeah, you're kind of doing it, and it's like, all right, you're approved, right? I guess that's how it rolls. All right,
Yeah,
you're
but
approved.
there will be times where it's like, let's say I went through it. I'm like 3-4 minutes into that application.
Yeah.
Um, okay, and your social?
Yeah. Why do you need my social?
Oh, oh, geez. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, it's insurance, and so that's how everything is attached to you, and that's how they like verify it when
Okay,
you
but
pass
do
away
I
to
have
give your
to
kids the
do
money.
I have to make a decision today, or like are we going to meet up later on, or I feel like I need to go away and kind of just think about making sure I'm making the right decision.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. And so like in terms of insurance, it's not like whatever you do today is never like in concrete. It's not like buying a car where it's like you
Mm.
drive it off the lot, you're stuck with it. With insurance, you always have 30 days to change it, like up, down, sideways, whatever you want to do, we can move it around. And so you're not locked in. But yeah, they use the social to like verify everything, and that's how your kids are actually going to be able to verify it and get the money when you pass away. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that was good. That's hard to get out of. Again, like I know what you're doing, but like from a conversational standpoint, most people will just then give you the social and keep going with it
Yeah. And
because like you're giving them an out.
if they didn't, I
Yeah.
just give them an out. I just say, okay. I mean, there are if you want, I just figured we would start with like the most affordable one. But if you want, there are carriers that would just do the last four of your social with your birthday. I can pull those up, but they're generally 10, 15, 20% more a month, which seems kind of silly, but totally up to you if you want me to pull those ones up.
Yeah. So your tone is like I think one of the main differences between what I hear you doing and what I hear other people doing is like you're so calm and it's so normal that it just sounds like you're dealing with an experienced customer service rep.
Yes.
And so I don't feel like I'm being sold anything. And it's not, you're also not doing the salesy thing where it's like, oh, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is this, and that can mean different things to different people. All that fluff is out of there. and you're actually very direct with your words,
Yep.
super direct, but you're extremely leaned out with your tone. Like you sound engaged, happy, and like you don't give a fuck which direction I take.
Yes.
But in a really good way. Like not in a I don't care way, and like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, and I'm just guiding their decision. Like the way I view insurance is like they're definitely going to get it. It's just a matter of who are they going to get it with. And so I'm very much assuming the sale mentally the whole time. And
Yeah.
the way I'm taking the presentation from if we go back there, we obviously didn't role play it, but I present in a way that's different than I think most insurance people, because I present in a way that I'm teaching you how to shop.
Mm, I like that.
And then when we get to the end, it's like all been educational. It's like, here, which one do you lean more towards? Rolls right into the application, start the application. Maybe, and then the social security is the first place that you'd really get pushback if you've done it well. But then it's just like, for me, I just act like shocked. I'm just like, oh, like, what are we talking about? This is insurance. You have health insurance, right? Like they have your social,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I could do it without it, but it might be a different person that gets the insurance. So that's your unique identifier. So, like,
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
yeah, yeah, I really like it. We're gonna run out of time here, but I think we do we'll sort of flippy flop next week, and
Yep.
we can ask me different things. But I think there's a lot of great takeaways here, and the biggest one is like casual, competent, and just know the underlying conversation, because you understand what they're saying. Like, if what the words people use are not always what they're saying, but it's not what they're saying either. It's like there's more to it than that. If I say I want to go think about it, like that doesn't mean I want to go away and think about it, because they're not going to think about anything. That just means they're unsure as to if they're making a good decision.
Yes.
That's it.
Exactly.
If I say, oh, I need to go and look at the money, they're not sure that the value, right,
Yep.
is worth it. But like they know if they can afford it, but they're wanting to make sure that it's worth the sacrifice.
And a lot of people just need some reassurance and validation. They get nervous to make a decision because if they make the wrong one, they feel dumb, and people don't like to feel dumb.
Yeah.
And so,
I reckon you would. I think there's no way you get a study on this, but I think you could probably with things like, okay, so it would be totally different in high ticket, because high ticket you could argue it's anyway. I'll go through and explain it. With insurance, it's a very good decision to get it.
Yep.
Right. I wonder if there is any correlation between the time of day you speak to someone and the like overall close rates. Because you know how Steve Jobs used to be like, you've only got a certain amount of decisions in the day that are good.
Yeah, like decision.
That's why. Yeah. So I wonder if, because getting insurance is the right call. Especially in the US, like you're kind of crazy to not have something. And so. Yeah, I wonder if it's like, up till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like higher close rates, than after that you're lower.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that'd be interesting, because I think decision fatigue is a huge one, which is why I like, and I think you like too, is like brevity of call, like trying to get it down to nice and quick, because getting people to have these in-depth conversations for long periods and make all these decisions. It's even why, like, I think for you, the 3 choices is perfectly fine. But for some of our newer guys, I think last week I was like, hey, let's just try 2 choices, because like they're not good at navigating some of it. Like our guys are not, like, they're not good at like just present 2 and like maybe, and then the way that you did it was different to how I sort of told him to do it last week. It was like, you said like, which one are you leaning towards? Remember last week I was like, hey, go, which one is out?
Yeah.
Remember, it was like, for you, like, it's like you're a newbie and you're not that good at this. It's actually easier to go, which one of the 3 options do you like the least? Well, that one. Okay, that makes sense. Now, of the 2, right? Because it's like I'm just eliminating it. Now, like for someone who's good, you don't need to do any of that.
You
right?
could,
Because
the thing is, when you're good though, you could do pretty much any of it. I could just do one of them and be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think that there's something to that, but it's interesting to kind of you're like so good at the like you are like the wolf in sheep's clothing epitomized. You know, you are the male feminist at the fucking pillow fight party.
Hey, that
You've been
last party
talking with
was
a
pretty
list.
fun.
You've been talking with a list for 2 years, right? Just waiting. Right? Yeah, man. Oh, girl, he's crazy.
Crazy.
So funny, right? Oh my god, I've never been with a girl. I should be with all of you. Wouldn't that be crazy? That'd be crazy. Amazing.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you're exactly right. It's being comfortable, casual, and being comfortable
Confident.
leading.
It's the three
Confident
C's.
and leading. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
we
move
talk about the
along.
3 C's all the time. We never just made it up right then, right?
Yep.
Right? It wasn't just me.
And
Yeah.
then if they
Honestly,
give you an
it's
objection,
fucking
just
phenomenal. Yeah,
throw in the 4th C and tell them they're a cunt and hang up.
exactly. Right? Like when you hate on a chick and you're like lesbian, right? Yeah. This guy having a bad day, right? No one
Yeah.
can sell that guy. Just a bad lead.
Time for the 4th C, baby.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I think we'll do vice versa next week. But
Yep.
yeah. If you guys like this kind of stuff and you want us to do more of this, I couldn't post last week's because my wife is nude in the background. I had to look at it. There's no way I could send it to the editors. I was like, nope. It's not going to the editors.
It gave me some
Oops.
excitement when you were
Yeah,
talking. It's like, oh, okay.
Oops. All right. Fucking walking around. My wife's always nude. She's one of those people who's nude all the time. Like,
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, it's good for me. But yeah, I think this would be really, really good. If you guys like this kind of stuff, we'll have the link in the description if you guys want to apply to work with us in our insurance, and get this kind of training on a regular basis. But we'll do part 2, right, where I'm going to go through and I'm going to do some role play and I'll get grilled, and that'll be over on Caden's channel.
All right, baby. Let's do it.
All right.
See ya.
Sweet. All right, dude. Catch ya. Bye.